Hi, my name is Dr. Claudia Sonder, and I am the president of the Napa Community Animal Response Team. And today we're going to talk about the role of Spanish translation volunteers within NapaCART. And to get started, I thought I would go ahead and give you a little overview of how the Napa Community Animal Response Team works and what your potential role within the CART would be, operating as a translator for our Spanish-speaking community. My slide doesn't want to advance, of course. So the Napa Community Animal Response Team, as you can see here, we have variable roles within the county. We always say we're going to save more animals through evacuation, through education than evacuation. And so a big part of the work that we do is educational outreach to help the public understand how to prepare themselves and their animals for disasters. And we use various avenues to do that. We have newsletters. We have a website, which is NapaCART.org. We have a social media presence on Facebook, and we're always working to get out to public events, to hand out materials and advance understanding of planning that can happen for both companion animals and for horses and livestock. When there is a disaster declared, NapaCART will be deployed by the Napa County Office of Emergency Services or the Napa County Sheriff's Office to go out and assist with evacuation and also with shelter in place, which is taking care of animals who have been left behind, doing welfare checks, that sort of thing. And then we also provide a training program for our volunteers so that they can be sworn in as disaster service workers. And we also work with first responders and veterinarians in the area. And really our goal is to improve outcomes for animals that are affected by disaster. We have a wonderful group of community partners in our organization. We work closely with Sunrise Horse Rescue, with Jameson Humane, Wine Country Animal Lovers, Napa Humane, Napa Wildlife Rescue, Napa County Animal Service, we also work with We Care in St. Helena. So it's a big, beautiful community of the existing animal orgs who are doing the important everyday work. And then we all come together in times of disaster to support whatever the need is. And as you can imagine, it's important that the outreach and that the assistance that is available to our English and non-English speaking community. So this is where your role in NapaCART can be extremely valuable to help us fulfill our duties. This is just a screenshot of an overview video that we have on our website. Again, that's www.napacart.org. And this short video gives you a real good look at all the different roles of NapaCART within our community. So I encourage you to check that out if this is something that you would like to do. When we think about disaster preparedness in Napa County, we think often about fires because that's what we faced, but we also see floods, we see earthquakes, we see public safety power shutoffs, we've seen COVID, and so we never really know what our duties will be when a disaster is declared. But we do encourage folks to have something called a red flag day routine, as most of our very large fires have occurred on red flag days. And a red flag day in Napa is declared when all the weather conditions are ripe for rapid spread of a fire. So usually that's going to be high heat, very low humidity and high wind, and oftentimes it's the north wind that spools up later in the summer months that really prime us for rapid spread of fire. Every deployment that we have is different, and here are some images of our volunteers evacuating animals in the face of large fire. We have folks that are getting supplies together down at the Napa Valley Horsemen's Association, which is one of our shelters, to go out into the field and take care of animals who are left behind. We see all species of animals, everything from alpacas and llamas, sheep, goats, pigs, horses, dogs, cats. You can see down in the lower left here, we have our one of our shelters for horses is at the Napa Valley Horsemen's Association. We're very fortunate to work with them. They're on 1200 Foster Road. We have a second large equine shelter that is pre-set up every year at the Valley Brook Equestrian Center, which is at 1132 El Centro. And again, great team over there. And then our small animal shelters are at the Napa County Animal Shelter, which is located down in Napa, right by where the movie theater is, off of Hartle Court. And we often will support the activities of the Napa County Animal Shelter in other areas such as the Crosswalk Community Church. We've helped at the Napa Valley College in 2017 and at the Napa Expo in 2020, where we have people sheltering that want to shelter with their animals. And then in this picture on the lower right, we can see the terrible air quality of these large fires that was actually driving up to the North Fire in Butte County in 2020. So we have our volunteers out in some pretty wild conditions, doing what they can for animals. And we always do that in the safest possible way with the guidance of the Napa County Sheriff's Office, safety first priority. Some of the lessons we've learned over the years, we've learned from the Valley Fire, the Wine Country fires, all of the fires that you can see here on the screen, is that these fast-moving fire storms can leave no time for animals to be gathered. So even people with the best intentions can wake up with fire on their hillside, and we always encourage them that they have to leave quickly, that their health and safety is the #1 priority. Animals will be left behind. We can help them to prepare for that scenario and then assist in checking in on those animals after an incident. And we know that when we look out for animals, we save people's lives. If people have a plan and their animals are safe, they were more likely to evacuate and stay evacuated, less likely to put first responders at risk by sneaking back in to care for their animals. And then reunification is a really important part of the recovery process for many people. If they've lost their homes or lost their possessions in a fire, that reuniting with their beloved pet can really foster the resilience that they're going to need to recover from that kind of event. So protecting the human-animal bond is a big part of what we do. And again, we need your help making sure that we're getting this important information out to all members of our community. So as a potential translator for the Napa Community Animal Response Team, these are some of the roles that you might have. We may need your help serving on our hotline team to make sure that we are understanding the needs of someone calling in who may not use English as their primary form of communication. We may have a search and rescue team out or a shelter in place team out that has some additional information about a specific location or an animal, and they may need your assistance in helping to get that from someone who is not English speaker. We may need your help getting updates back to pet owners from the shelters, whether that's the large animal shelter or the small animal shelters, and making sure that they know that their animals are safe and that we're meeting their needs. We often have outreach events with NapaCART where we need to hand out materials, evacuation kits, preparedness materials, and those materials are printed in both English and Spanish, but occasionally we need updates on translation or tips on better ways to make sure that the message is getting out to everybody. We also have a public information officer with NapaCART who needs to be able to get that information out via radio, social media in both English and Spanish. And so you may be asked to help assist preparing those materials for outreach. During a deployment, we would send you a note that we've been activated. we would ask for some shift availability for our hotline team. And if that's something that you'd like to do, be part of our hotline, receiving calls, be available for our Spanish speakers, then there's some additional training that we'll have you get involved with. And it's easy, it's online, and it can make you a real asset to those needing help in the beginning of a disaster and during the disaster. If you want to learn more about public information officer role, there is some formal training available in the county, and you are also able to shadow our public information officer. We may request your availability on a certain day to be able to reach out to a pet owner that that we need to communicate with. So there may be random requests, anybody available to make a call. And if you are, you can chime in, and then we use your services to make sure that we're understanding what the needs are. And those are the sort of the deployment needs during what we call peacetime, or as we sort of build up to fire season and after fire season, being able to assist with translation of outreach materials, assist us in outreach events. For example, recently NapaCART went on KVON to talk about ways that people could prepare for disaster and have a red flag routine, and we needed a Spanish speaker that could deliver that same message out through the radio channels. So if that's something that you feel comfortable with, we certainly need some help there. And really the goal is just to make sure that we're getting the word out and meeting the needs of our Spanish speaking community. Hotline is a really interesting role in NapaCART. It's what we call the front of the house. It's meeting those urgent needs during a disaster. Oftentimes the Napa County Dispatch will funnel those calls to our hotline, and we have multiple operators that are standing by to fill out requests for services, answer questions, direct people to the appropriate shelters. And again, this is a wonderful role that you can have. You can do this from home. You can do this remotely. And we're happy to train you further if this is something that you'd like to get involved with, or if you have good phone skills and you want to give back to your community during a disaster. This is a place where you can really have a great impact. We need more Spanish-speaking operators. This chart's kind of dizzying, but the goal of this slide is really to let you know that there are several operations happening within NapaCART. So we have a full search and rescue component that is not only evacuating animals and transporting animals, but providing shelter in place for animals that are left behind. We have a volunteer coordinator that is making sure that we're getting all the shifts filled and that our volunteers are updated on what's going on. We have both companion animal and large animal shelters, numerous, that are pre-planned and pre-set up ahead of fire season. We have a veterinary relationships with veterinarians and a veterinary team that can come in and assist with the companion animals and with the large animals. And then we have a whole operations center that that handles our radio communications and our dispatch when we're out in the field, so that we can always be in touch with our teams and be receiving updates on their whereabouts, keep track of them out there. And of course, we have the hotline function that was mentioned on the other slide. So there's many areas of operation within NapaCART, and as you can imagine, the need for Spanish speakers and translation exists in all of these areas of operation. Our volunteers can sign up to be trained by NapaCART, and we have a basic training program that allows them to achieve disaster service worker status in Napa County. And once they are sworn in as a disaster service worker, they have workman's comp liability if they are injured while deployed to a disaster. And then that training program is available to anyone that goes to our website, napacart.org. They can click on volunteer, they fill out a volunteer survey on our Better Impact platform, and then they receive regular emails about training and options. And we have an annual training calendar that we follow, and all members of community can work within NapaCART. You don't have to have familiarity with the animals even. There's plenty of admin roles and hotline roles. And for those that do have great animal familiarity, then we can send them down training tracks to make sure that they get the experience they need in first aid, safety, handling, all those that important training that prepares them to go out and do the work behind fire lines. And so there is a sort of a graduated tier of training within NapaCART, with those that are going behind fire lines requiring the greatest amount of training. And so really, the goal of this presentation was to give you an idea of how NapaCART operates, of what your potential roles are within the cart, and to make sure that that you have the opportunity to sign up and become a member of the cart. And even if you don't have time to go through the training to become a disaster service worker within Napa County, if you're serving as a Spanish translator, we can plug you in and not require all of that training. So we love for the training to be there so that you have the context of the questions that are going to be asked to you, but we also really just appreciate people who might not have that kind of spare time, but who can be available on a moment's notice to help us communicate. So if you are interested in joining NapaCART, then please go ahead and you can email me. My name is Claudia Sonner, and my email is claudia@napacart.org. And if you would like to work as a Spanish translator for NapaCART, go ahead and send me an email, and then I will get you on a list of folks who can help with Spanish translation. And I sure do thank you for taking the time to watch this video today.